what Hamas did in Gaza was utterly criminal. It was utterly vile. And I don't just mean on October the 7th, a year ago, almost a year ago today, but actually what they did over the months and years before that. Hamas murdered many Palestinians to take control of Gaza.
Just finally, I mean, as you know, as these wars grow and go on, there is a tendency among a lot of people back home to look away and to say, look, this is the Middle East, it's the Middle East doing what the Middle East does. What is your message to people at home about why this matters to them?
Well, look, Krishnan, I started my career as a journalist in Beirut. I was a journalist there from 97 to 99, and I was covering various elements of the wars in the south of Lebanon. And one of the things that struck me then and still strikes me today is that it's not foreign. It's not that far away. The reality is that the energy price spikes that happen when there's conflict in the Middle East affect us at home. And when we see rises in non-state actors like Lebanese Hezbollah, we see very often the threat of terrorism in the United Kingdom increase. And I can tell you as Security Minister that we were extremely conscious of the cooperation that we needed with our partners in the Middle East in order to keep the British people safe, So I'm afraid we may wish it away, but the reality is that we are fundamentally connected, and we need to be leading in the conversations, and the security conversations in particular, to keep ourselves safe. And that's exactly what the UK's position should be.
Right? That's the funny part about this. They are behind it. If you go back to like 1917, you look at the British invaded that area, and the whole thing, as it unfolded from 1917 to 1948, the British were behind bringing in this colonial settler project of all these white people from Poland and from England and everything else into Palestine, and giving them weapons to attack and take these people's land, the indigenous people that were there, the Arabs. So people like him, his grandfather, they was behind everything that's happening. But now he says he wants to be safe. He wants security and safety, right? Listen, you have to understand, these people are going to face the wrath of God. You'll never be safe. You're never going to be safe now. You're going to face the wrath of God for what you've done. The universe is going to drop a city on your asses. There's no safety in the cosmos for these people for what they've done. For not just what you've done in Palestine, but what you've done in America, what you did in Europe, what you've done everywhere on the planet. Right? That's why they said that the sun never sets on the British Empire. You see? Because they went all around the world committing crimes in all different time zones. Committing, colonization, slavery, and spreading the religion of white supremacy. Putting up, pictures of white Jesus and statues of, white Jesus, these false idols. You see, idolatry. You see, trying to get people to look at them as gods on earth, right? And it's worked. I mean, if you look at my page, there's an Indian reporter from Breaking Point, Sagar, and Jetty, right? You look at how they come here to America and places like that, and what do? They start calling black people that complain about racism. They call black people that complain about racism villains and terrorists. People like Ta-Nehisi Coates, right, from Baltimore. Shout out to Baltimore, right? They call these people terrorists and say that they are creating racism in the United States. Mind you, they saying the descendants of slavery, of racial slavery, are creating slavery. This is what Indian immigrants are taught by white people to come to America and say about black people that live here. This is what they teach the black immigrants, the Indians, the Mexicans, and everybody that come here to America to say about black people in America. Say Martin Luther King is bullshit. And they came here on the back of the death of Martin Luther King and people like that, my grandparents. You came here on their backs through the civil rights movement and then say black people are villains in America for talking about and complaining about racism, right? But you don't say nothing about those people, them so-called Jewish people, right? And they caused this mess. The UK, this British man, right? Him and his people, he complained about terrorism. He said Hamas is a terrorist, blah, 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 blah. While the terrorist Israeli government, who has been, convicted basically of genocide, colonization, stealing land, and genocide, that he helped commit, him and his people giving them weapons, right? He say they are a democracy. They are freedom, justice, and democracy, and they good people. But black people, you a villain, right? You are. The Indian man said black people are despicable villains because they complain about racism and genocide, and slavery, and apartheid. And Arabs are terrorists and despicable villains if they complain about these people taking their land, and if they fight them in any kind of way, then you're considered a terrorist. You see? But him and his country, they can go around and take everybody's land. You can give away land to people that don't belong to you to create, all of these destabilization projects like Israel. Because that's all Israel was. It was a destabilization project to help white racist people control resources in the middle in North Africa. No such thing in the Middle East, right? To control resources and control the people in North Africa, because Egypt, Israel, all that shit is on the so-called African plate. So all that's really so-called North Africa. And that's why they're there protecting them. But, so he said, we got to guarantee security. Nobody can guarantee you security when you fight God. That's what this man, see, these people they have this mentality that they are God. That's why they go paint themselves as the sons of God and put that picture up of white Jesus everywhere. You see? They want to paint themselves as above the law, above God, above the universal law, above everything. You see? God's chosen people, and then send you all these white people into North Africa and Israel and say these are God's chosen, all these white people from Poland. I think Benjamin Netanyahu is from Poland. He went to Israel in 1950 with his Polish racist parents. You see? And then they tell you about, I'm going back to my homeland. How the fuck could you be going back to Africa and that be your homeland? And you white as Casper the Ghost. All your ancestors for the past probably 50,000 years been in fucking Netherlands some goddamn where. How are you going back to North Africa and say that's my homeland? This is insanity. Right? And then bomb people to smithereens who don't want to agree with you. Right? Bomb, threaten, blackmail, right? The ultimate terrorist on the planet. And this man says he's going to guarantee security. Listen, you can't guarantee security when you fight God. I don't know what you're talking about. That's insanity. These people, but you're dealing with people who are megalomaniac, genocidal maniac murderers. Obviously, I mean, it's not me, this is the ICC. These are genocidal, racist maniacs. They always have been for the past, recorded future of the past 400 years. I don't think anybody would disagree with what I just said. Particularly the ICC or American history or UK history, right? I mean, it's in your history books. But now, so you're never gonna be safe. The Atlantic Ocean can't keep you safe. The Pacific Ocean can't keep you safe. None of that can keep you safe from what's coming. Karma is coming for you. Reality and karma is coming for the people of the UK and the people of the United States and the people of South America. You see, in Chile and everywhere where they spread out and went to, the Portuguese in Brazil and in Canada. The Pacific and Atlantic Ocean can't protect you anymore. It's called hypersonic missiles. Not only that, it's called the wrath of God. You see, nothing can protect you from the wrath of God. Not your immigrant. You can build up an immigrant army from India and Mexico and Colombia and Honduras and Ecuador and you can bring in some Africans from Nigeria and Ethiopia and Eritrea. It's not going to save you. You see, and if this not you, I'm not talking about you. But people, they know what I'm talking to. They know what I'm talking about. It can't save you. None. Your rainbow armies are not going to be able to save you from the wrath of God. It can't save them. You can wipe out all of the black descendants of slaves in America. It's not going to save you. You can wipe out every Palestinian in Gaza, in the West Bank, and in Lebanon, every Arab in that area. You see, it's not going to save you now. It doesn't matter what all it's going to do is make it worse and worse. You're going to go from worse to worse, right? Not bad to worse. It's already worse. You're going to go from worse to worse. And no Atlantic Ocean can save you, no Pacific Ocean, no no amount of like armies, intelligence forces, none of that can save you. God, and I use that term loosely, is going to orchestrate the destruction. When I say God, the force behind the universe, and you can feel it if you're smart, right? And if you're intelligent and if you're intuitive, you can feel it. The novel force behind the universe, that's what I mean when I say God. I'm not talking about the Ancient of Days. He would be God with a small g, and the Lord of Hosts, that would be God with a small g. Don't worry, they're going to get to you, people. That prophecy is probably going to come true very soon. But the God of the universe, right, has a bullseye on the UK and America and then Canada and then North America, and everywhere. And there's not going to be any security. You're going to find that out very soon, right? The Israelis, every move they make is one less move to be less secure. You don't see that? The more you move now, every move they make now is going to tighten the noose on their own neck, and then somebody's just going to kick out the chair. And they're just going to hang in front of the world. Israel is going to be destroyed. You see? Not the country of Israel is prophesied to be destroyed and should be, as it is written. Israel is really a bloodline of people, the 12 tribes of Jacob. They're not going to never be destroyed. They're going to try in these next couple of months and years. That's why they're bringing all the immigrants into America, to hunt down the tribes of Jacob, the descendants and the last remnant of Jacob. So they're going to try to have the heathens come across the border and ethnically cleanse what's left of Jacob. But they're going to fail. They're going to be destroyed in America. You see? That's biblical prophecy. You're going to be separated, destroyed in America and all over the planet. Right? What does this say? Let me end this with some Bible prophecy. Right? Let's wrap this with some Bible prophecy. Stand by. So I want to start with Ezra, the greatest prophet, right? One of the greatest prophets and the most accurate. Right here, Ezra predicted what's going to happen, what I just said right now. You see, in this verse of Ezra, he talks about the fake white Jesus that the UK man, right, that these people spread across the earth. You see, he says, let's look at that, right? The religion of white supremacy. This is what he talks about. He says, "This is he who said, I am the Son of God. I made stones bread and water wine." And the prophet Ezra said, "My Lord, let me know what is his form, and I shall tell the race of men, so that they shall not believe in him." So what he was telling you was that this whole concept of white Jesus and this Jesus picture being put up in Brazil, the huge statues and all of that shit, right, and these fake crosses, which are not biblical, right? He was saying that there would come a time when people wouldn't believe any of that. That time is now. These are the end times. And he said, I mean, everybody know the story of Jesus at the wedding turning water to wine, right? How would Ezra know that? Ezra was alive before Christ, not afterwards. Let me say that again. Ezra was alive before Jesus Christ. Ezra predicted King Herod would attempt to kill Christ when he was a baby, and he named Herod hundreds of years before Herod was born. If Ezra was a false prophet, how would he have done that? So Ezra had did the empire. He predicted Christ. He predicted Herod. He predicted the fake Christ. So he even predicted into 2024. That's how powerful a prophet, the holy prophet Ezra was. He predicted 2024 2,000 years ago. He even predicted Christ. You see, this is why Ezra is so important. He predicted the story of Christ, and then he said, but he said, listen, they're gonna put this form up, but tell me the real form. Now here's where it gets interesting. He says, this is he who said, I am the Son of God. We all know that's Jesus, the fake Jesus Christ, that made stones bread and water wine. And the prophet Ezra said, Lord, tell me his true form, and I shall tell the race of men that they may not believe in him. Right? Now what was he saying? Ezra sensed that there was more to the story than just white Jesus, the fake white Jesus. He said there's more. Ezra was so powerful, a psychic and a prophet of God, that he sensed that in this dream he was basically interrogating the angel in this spiritual dream to give him all of the information, right, about this fake Jesus. And he said, tell me his true form, so I shall tell the race of men, right, that they shall not believe in him. And the angel said, begin to describe an alien. He said, and he said to me, the form of his countenance is like that of a wild beast, his right eye like the star that rises in the morning, and the other without motion, his mouth 1 cubit, and his teeth span long, and his fingers were like scythe. A scythe is a knife, so his fingers were like claws. Humans don't have fingers like claws. Who has fingers like claws? Well, that would be a grizzly bear, right? A grizzly bear can swing at you and swipe your whole fucking head off your shoulders with his claws, right? So this thing he was describing wasn't a human, right? Had long teeth. It was probably a reptoid or something, right? And he said he's like a wild beast. It's an alien. A human is not a wild beast. He said in his right eye rises like the morning, that rises in the morning. I believe they call Satan the morning star or something like that, right? And the other without motion, his mouth 1 cubit, his teeth span long, fingers like scythe. And on his head and his face an inscription, Antichrist. You see? The Antichrist. So he was trying to tell you that this whole thing is a satanic Antichrist project brought to you by who? Oh, that would be the man, UK, Israel, the Israelis, UK, the Americans, right? These Europeans. That's what he was telling you. And he was telling you that some of these people are not human. You see, are not human, and they work for the Antichrist. Right? He has been exalted to heaven. Right? He's been made to be a son of God. Right? They portray themselves as gods, but they're not gods. Right? They exalt themselves to heaven, but they shall be sent to Hades, to hell. Right? Matthew 11. At one time he shall become a child, and at another an old man. And the prophet Ezra said, Lord, how do you permit these people and this thing to deceive the whole race of man? And God said through the angel, listen, my prophet Ezra, he becomes both child and man, and no one shall believe that he is my beloved son. Everybody knows right now that white Jesus is fake. Everybody knows white Jesus is a fake. How did Ezra predict this 2,000 years ago? There was no such thing when Ezra existed. Ezra was probably what would have been called a so-called black man. Right? There was no such thing. And then he said, so he predicted the whole baby Jesus. That's what he's talking about. He becomes child and old man, and no one believes that he is my beloved son. No one believes that he is a son of God. Because he's not. A son of God would be a human. Right? But why would these people put forward a human to you, a human God that's really a reptilian or some alien beast? So when they try to get you to worship Jesus Christ, and they put these statues up, they're trying to get you to worship Satan. They're trying to get you to worship a satanic, evil, alien beast. They were like, oh, it's a demon. Shut the fuck up. There's no such thing as demons. All right? But here he goes on to say, right? And I'm going to move on to a couple other scriptures so I can wrap this. And after this, a trumpet. There's a loud noise. And the tomb shall be opened, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. Corinthians 15. And then the adversary, Satan, the devil, these aliens, these hybrids, and the rest of them, in his army, right? The adversary, hearing a dreadful threatening. What is a dreadful threatening? That's the gospel. That's the prophecies, right? Hearing and reading the prophecies shall hide in outer darkness, right? What is outer darkness? Children's class, what is outer darkness? Because y'all smart. Americans know everything. They say the white man's smarter than everybody, right? These people come here, they lick their boots. They smarter than everybody. Well, all of y'all should know this, right? I shouldn't have to explain this to all you smart Indians and Mexicans and white people and Negroes and ninjas. You smarter than me, right? You're super smart. You should already know what all this is. What is outer darkness? Well, that would be space, right? And then the heaven and the earth and the sea shall be destroyed. And I shall burn the heaven 80 cubits, and I shall burn the earth 800 cubits. And the prophet said, Lord, how has the heaven sinned? And God said, since there is evil, Ezra, there's evil in the ocean, and there's evil in the heaven. What is he talking about? He's talking about Elon Musk going and putting these space, and Elon Musk and NASA. That's what he's talking about. And all of these UFOs. That's what he's talking about. He said the heavens have sinned. It's sin in the heaven. Well, who's up there? It ain't black people. Who's up there in the heavens? Well, that would be NASA and Elon Musk with Starlink and the rest of them. These are the people that he's talking about. Right? He said, I'm going to destroy Starlink. I'm going to destroy your base on Mars. I'm going to destroy your base on the moon. I'm going to destroy the space stations. Right? And so he says, I'm going to melt the whole earth. Right? He said, on account of these people, these things, I shall melt the earth, and with it, the opponent of the race of men. So what is the opponent of the race of men that he could be talking about? He's prophesying about. He's prophesying the opponents of the race of men is something that's not a man. These hybrids, the Antichrist that he just described, that's not human, right? Is the opponent of the race of men. And the prophet said, Lord, have mercy. Lord, please have mercy on the race of the Christians. Why would he say that? He's talking about the race of the Christians. He's talking, is everybody a race of Christians? No. He's talking about Jacob. The 12 bloodlines of Jacob, as is written in Revelations and in the rest of the Bible. These are the race of the Christian. Everybody can't be Christian. You see? You can't be Christian by getting some dirty ass, funky ass water splashed on your forehead and putting a cross on and having some child raping priest touch on you. That's not how you become a Christian. You have to be born a Christian. The rest of that is bullshit in a cult group. Just like them fake ass Jews over there, them Israelis. That ain't nothing but a cult group. Has nothing to do with the 12 tribes. You see? I'm gonna try to get through this fast as I can. And so I'll move on. I think that's enough. That's Ezra. So let's move on to a couple more real quick. I'm gonna run through them real fast. So Revelations, right? You see, the Lord, the universe, God, call it what you want. There is no safety. My point of reading that was that these people said, we want security and we're gonna have safety and security. That's over with. The only thing left for you is judgment. You and your glasses gonna get judged, Mr. UK Defense Secretary, whatever the fuck you are. You and your glasses gonna get judged. There is no security and safety coming for you. Only judgment. Right? And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Where was the Lord crucified? Right? Over there where they killing all of these people. Dead bodies laying in the street. You see? Everywhere in Gaza. You see? And if any man hurt them, fire proceed out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with the plagues. You see, you're going to get smite. You're going to be smited with all kinds of things. There is no security and safety coming for you, right? As often as they will, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lay in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds of tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies for 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts to one another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. So there is no security and safety coming. Let's run through this. Right. Joel, and I will gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and my heritage Israel. Is that white people from Poland? I mean, y'all smart, y'all know everything. I know everything. Nobody could tell me anything. Right? I know everything. I mean, you smart. You think he's talking about white people from Poland? And I will gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Where is Jehoshaphat? Jehoshaphat is round by Gaza. You see, in between Gaza and West Bank is Jehoshaphat. For all the smart people that know everything, right? That's where Jehoshaphat is. He said, I'm going to bring all of y'all down to Jehoshaphat. Well, you got 20,000 U.S. troops in Jehoshaphat right now. You got white people from Poland claiming they're Jews, Netanyahu, and all these people from Russia and all these fake Jews in Israel right now, right? You got the Russians who have a base in Syria and Damascus, right? You got the Iranians and the Lebanese, right, in Lebanon. The UK is sending warships, right? I think the Chinese are doing drills with the Egyptians. He said, I shall bring them all into Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them for my people and my heritage, Israel. He's talking about the descendants. Whom is it? Here's the kicker. Are we talking about all of those white people that came there? Here we go. Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Okay, well, that wouldn't be those people right there. That's the kicker right there. You see? Because they not scattered. They said, welcome home to their homeland, Israel. They have dual citizenship. So that couldn't be talking about them. They're not scattered anywhere, right? And you parted my land. What land is he talking about? Oh, that would be the 50 states in the United States. That would be South America. That would be colonization. You went everywhere, parted the land, and you made colonies. Mr. UK man with your thick glasses on, you so smart, you on TV, right? Said you want security. The Lord said there ain't gonna be no security for you. You see? Let's read this last one. Matthew, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides a sheep from the goats. Now, just to bring that into a little more context, let me read a little bit of this and I'm gonna wrap. I'm rapping on this right here. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, who is the Son of Man? That's the Messiah, that's the Lord of hosts. As it's also called the Son of Man, you see. He shall come in his glory, right? And bring them down to Jehoshaphat. And shall all the holy angels with him, his army. And they shall sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides the sheep from the goats. So you're going to be separated from the Indian in America, the wicked Indian that come to America and say black people in America complaining about slavery are evil villains, right? You got to be separated from them. Thus saith the Holy Bible. Thus saith the Lord God, the Most High. Thus saith the Holy Bible. You have to be separated from the Indians in America. You have to be separated from Kamala Harris and her treachery. You have to be separated from Donald Trump. You have to be separated from the Mexicans and all the Nazis, right? Hispanics, La Raza coming across the border, these heathens in different groups. You have to be with these white Jesus. You have to be separated from them. You see? You have to be separated from all these different heathen Africans. Why? Because the Bible says so, right? Do you look like you when I played that interview of that Indian man talking about Martin Luther King is bullshit, do that look like somebody you should be integrated with, or you should be separated from him? So the Bible makes sense, right? You have to be separated from them. You say, well, you don't want to give people reparations or whatever. What the fuck is the use of being around you? It's time to separate. And so you have to wait though. Soon, very soon, this is in the end times, the Lord is going to separate you from white people and Indians and all these different hostile groups. The bloodline is going to be separated. Right? Because obviously these people don't give a fuck about you. And these people mean you harm. They don't mean you no good. You see, bottom line, an exception to the rule don't change the rule, right? And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divide the sheep and the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. What is the goats? Baphomet. The tribes of Baphomet. It's the goat, the hermaphroditic satanic goats, right? These are the tribes of Baphomet. These Indians and these white people and the rest of them, right? These heathens. You see, but the Lord gonna separate you, right? The Messiah, right? And he said, then the king, right? So fuck a democracy. That's why I don't give a fuck. I don't vote. I don't give a fuck about your democracy. The king is coming. You see? The real king the king is coming. And it says the king, not Donald Trump, not Benjamin Netanyahu, not Kamala Harris, not Joe Biden, not Martin Luther King, who the Indian man said is bullshit, and you shoot him in the head, right? Not that king. You won't shoot this king in the head. This king is gonna wipe this whole goddamn planet from the North Pole to the South Pole, and there's nothing y'all can do. You can't get no security. The man said, I'm gonna get some security with my armed forces. Your armed forces can't do nothing about this, sir. That time is over with and past. So the king, then the king say unto them on his right hand, come, ye are blessed of my father. Who is his father? His father is written in the book of Daniel, who is also your father and progenitor, right? The Ancient of Days, where Daniel said, I did see a throne where the Ancient of Days did sit. All these smart people, I know you already know this. You smart, you're a prophet, you go to church 5 times on Sunday, right? Got you, right? You are blessed of the Ancient of Days, also called the Father of the King, who will be the Lord of hosts. You see? And he said, you are blessed of the Father. Inherit this kingdom that I shall prepare for you, right? From the foundations of the world. Because the Ancient of Days is the progenitor of Jacob. You see? Not all of these heathens. He is the progenitor. The heathen is the heathen, their progenitor is the goat. Is Baphomet. They are satanic races. That's why they hate you. And they call you villains. And they say they despise you if you talk about racism. That's because they spawned of the goat, Baphomet, Satan, the devil, the fake Jesus. You see? All of that. It's real simple. It's not complicated, right? You shall inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundations of the world. For I was hungry, and ye gave me meat, and I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Amen. I'm going to end on that. That's all I got.